Yeah, guys, and welcome back to another episode on the podcast. So today I've got another Let Me Chat episode, and I've realized for these episodes, because a goal of mine for the podcast, like for this year, I want to try and get to 70 episodes by the end of December this year. And I thought with the Let Me Chat episodes, every time I do them, they kind of just feel like some sort of like journal entry. So I thought, instead of me just like putting that into my like weekly, like every Friday, like our weekly schedule that I've got, I'll just post a Let Me Chat every single month. So that means like the last week of every month, like whatever week of that month, I'll just add in a second episode for that week. So this one will probably go up the same day that I'm recording this, just to be able to get more episodes in and be able to get more content to you guys and be able to reach my goal. But yeah, so like for these Let Me Chat episodes, they're always going to be about like different epiphanies that I have and realizations and reflections, as it says in the title. And it's basically me just going over moments like in this month of things I've realized, like conversations that I've had, different stuff that has happened to me that caused me to reflect on those moments and think about the deep meaning to them. Because I've, like over time, I've become more reflective of like things that have happened in my life. I always go back to thinking about different stuff that's happened like over time, even if it's like years ago, like things that have happened like 4 or 5 years ago. Sometimes I just think about those moments and just ponder on why that happened, or my mindset to like that specific thing, and like how my perception has like changed to like those different scenarios. And so that's the whole point of these Let Me Chat episodes. I just want to, it's more of just like it's like a kind of therapy thing for me. I just get on here, talk about my month, and just kind of chat my ass about random stuff that's been going on in my life and my ideas about it. But a big thing, especially this like period between like finishing high school and like end of Jan, like everyone's already gone back to work, everyone's working, and it has become so much harder to stay in touch with mates. By harder, I mean it takes a lot more effort, because we've been taken out of the environment of school where we're basically scheduled and planned to basically make mates and see our mates 5 days a week or 6 days a week, including like school sport for like most of the private schools and some public schools. It's just been so much harder. Like when I was in school, I would never like randomly call people to check up on how they're going and see how like they're traveling with everything. Like some of my mates are at ANU, no, not ANU. Fuck, I can't remember what it's called, but some of my mates are boarding, like some of my mates are in Canberra, some are in Bond, and now I'm like kind of like talking to myself, like telling myself, oh, okay, you need to check up on your mates who are like away, like give them some sort of communication, like show your interest in them as like a mate, like show interest in that kind of relationship to them. I've been like critiquing myself to do that more often. Yeah, because I think that's really important. Like with your mates that are boarding, that are going interstate, it's really important to keep in touch with them, especially because it can be really lonely. Like one of my mates who's at Bond, he was down there for 3 weeks at the start, and he's already a social bloke, but I can just imagine like how lonely it can be, like not having your original group of mates there with you. Like you've just got to basically like start over, like making new friends, like especially going in high school, it's a lot harder to do because you can't stick with your same pack. Like, that's literally what I'm doing now. Like, I'm still mostly hanging around my Trinity mates and my mates from my old school, because it's just what I'm used to. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I obviously love hanging out with those boys, and that's the reason why I hang out with them, because they make me better and I enjoy being around them. But yeah, like for my mates who are like going to different unis that are like way out of this area, I've found it like a lot more difficult to stay in touch. And that's why, like, I'll just do them random texts like, oh, how's everything going? Or just call them randomly just to check up on them and see what's going on with them, see what they're doing. Another thing with like socializing is like, all for this episode, I'll literally just make dot points of like my ideas of I go through my journal and I just look at all my notes, and then I just make dot points of like my ideas and perspectives about everything. And like over this period, I used to really just like going out. I used to not despise it, but I would avoid it as much as I possibly could, especially in year 12. And I realized that I was taking not my schooling, but I was taking like everything else way too seriously. Like, for example, my footy, I was so like uptight about the fact that I shouldn't drink. Like, it's bad. It's obviously bad for you. And like, I had plenty of sober nights throughout year 12. Like, I would just happily be DD for the night, and I would still be out till like 1 a.m. And I used to just like dislike it so much. Sometimes I just couldn't be bothered drinking. So I was like, nah, I can't be bothered. And like to the back end of year 12, I was training for a half marathon, and there's like a big spurt of like 18s going on leading up to the half marathon. And I think it was like a 4 or 5 week span of like back-to-back 18s. Like, it was 5 weeks in a row, and that was all in the lead up to my half marathon. And I went and I drank at like 2 of them, and then 2 others I went sober, and 1 I just didn't go because it was literally the night for my half marathon. And I don't regret it, not going and not drinking, because I realized that I can still like socialize without alcohol pretty well. And I think a lot of people need that confidence to be able to go out sober and be able to like talk to random people. Like, and I'll get onto that later, like, be able to talk to random people sober on a night out and hold a conversation for a while. I think that's a really important trait that I'm still working on myself, and I think a lot of people should try to work to in their own time. But yeah, like recently in this period, like obvious, like the main thing that people do like in this time, like finishing high school, is that we all go out to drink in order to like stay social with each other. Like, we'll all go do Fraser Science House, and we'll all go out where everyone else is going, like the Hawker. Like, every man and their dog that's our age is at the Hawker on a Tuesday because of the cheap drinks. And I just don't regret drinking as much, because over time I've been influenced by a few podcasts and like different episodes that I've listened to, and listening to different people, that going out and drinking sometimes can be the best thing for you. Like, a lot of people like my age and like around my age bracket, like 2 years younger and like up to 24 or 25, we choose to stay inside because we can't be bothered drinking. I mean, fair enough if you don't have the money, but you make it as an excuse. And we kind of avoid the chances to like make memories with our mates. Like we miss the chance to make stories to be able to tell people the next week. When I talk to people, the people that I find most enjoyable to talk to are the ones that have stories to back up like claims, I guess. Like an example is like my uncle. He, like, in terms of career wise, like he's done just about every single job you could think of. Like he's run his own business, he worked as an ice cream man, I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head, but he's literally done everything. And like same with my dad, like he's got stories from when he started working and like all the other jobs that he's done. And like they all talk about like their nights there and like stuff they done, stupid shit that they do. And it's those stories that make people like that so interesting to listen to. And that's why I don't regret going out and drinking or like going out just for the sake of it, because you do have the chance to make memories. It's just the only downside that recently I've just been like getting really annoyed about is like just the hangover is just shit. Like you just write off the next day for that night. Like it's just, you're stealing your happiness from tomorrow for that night. But then again, if you're making memories out of it and you're making friendships from that night out, I don't see what the problem is. Recently, I've had to lose my car. It wasn't actually even my car, it was my cousin's car. But it made me realize how easy it is to get comfortable in like your own situation. So I had my cousin's car a little ago, like last year, for 6 months. He was away in Europe, and he eventually came back. I gave him his car back, and then I had my own car for a little bit. That broke down. We had to sell it after 2 months of having that car. Then I think like a week later, I got my cousin's car back because his mum bought a new car, so he got her old car. There's a lot of cars going around right now, but his car eventually broke down, and then I had to give the car that I got from him back to him. Jesus Christ, that's so complicated, but it just made me realize like how easy it is to become like complacent and comfortable. And it's actually like the feeling of when you have a car to use and then you have to get rid of it or you lose it after like being like able to drive around whenever you want is one of the shittest feelings, because I feel like if I'd never had my own car and I just like as a baseline I had to rely on my mum or dad not having to drive their car around to use that, I would have been fine. But since I had a car to use and now I've lost it, it's just been so much more like difficult like to deal with. Like in the first 2 days I had to get rid of Tom's car. I had to ask my mate Fred for 5 of this over 2 days because I just completely forgot how reliable my car was, like how much I relied on that car to get around everywhere. Like I gave up public transport. I haven't used my bike in ages. And it's just so easy. Like it's these little things that make me realize like fuck. It is so easy for me to become complacent just by those like little scenarios, like not being able to drive. And it's not Tom's fault that he has to get his car back, because the car that he was using was a manual and the transmission just shit itself. So he was trying to go 110 driving to Sydney, and then he had to go back down because of traffic, and once he tried to get back up to 110, it just wouldn't go back up. So it was too dangerous for him to use, and the repairs were cost more than what the car was actually worth. So it would have been just a waste of money. And again, another story, like just a little situation that made me realize that I get too comfortable too easily, was like little things that I was doing around the house that my mum cracked it at me about. I always had this like whenever I come back from like a run, a footy session, or like the gym, I'll always leave my shoes like next to the kitchen bench downstairs, and I'll always forget to bring it back upstairs. And Mum one day has just absolutely cracked it. She was like, "Oh, all you do is just leave your stuff downstairs. Like, you've been so lazy recently." And at the time, like, whenever she yells at me, I just kind of like, I shut down. I just don't respond because there's no point for me to. But then, like 30 minutes later, I take the dog for a walk and I cool down, and I think whilst I'm on the walk, I'm like, yeah, no, that's very fair enough. Like, if I'm lazy and someone calls me out for it, I need to stop trying to shut down. I need to just be able to like absorb it and take it in, instead of just not responding and acting careless the entire time. But yeah, like that, those two things recently made me really reflect on like how complacent I've become, especially like finishing high school, like having no schedule. That's why I'm like excited for uni, like somewhat. Like I'm somewhat excited for uni because I'm able to get my own schedule together. Like it's good. Like I've sorted out like work, you know, having time to do my podcast and creating content, and then university as well. And with that, like, to this next point, it's so fucking hard to find motivation. That's why I think motivation is like, it's a killer for your work rate, or for your work ethic. I think motivation can kill work ethic, because if you're constantly just searching for your motivation and trying to find little things to keep you going on this one task, you're eventually gonna run out of things to think of. Like, you can't just make your whole drive for something based on made up scenarios. Michael Jordan became one of the best basketball players ever to do that through that method, but he literally made up like things in his head that people said. Like, he would force himself to believe that someone said that he was like shit at basketball to go out there and torch him for 50. But when you're like working on a hobby or doing like uni, like just doing homework or something like that, you can't just use motivation as your main drive to get it done. Like, that's why I think it's so important, like me personally, I think it's so important to constantly keep building my discipline, because like during this time I felt lazy because I've been staying inside so much more, even though when I'm inside, I'm mostly just like scripting episodes or planning content to make or trying to make training programs. Like, I'm being productive, but then again, it just feels like I'm being lazy. No, I think it might be an environment thing. I feel like on a day like today, I'm gonna be outside a lot more, and then maybe I might feel more productive. But when it's like a cloudy, dark day and it's so dull and everything's grey, that's right. Okay. Yeah, when it's like a shit day, I just feel, despite me using like my discipline to get stuff done, I feel like it's unproductive. I don't know why. It's weird. It's like my environment controls so much of my own belief of what I'm doing. I don't know how to, it's weird to explain. Like, if I did 3 hours of scripting, I journaled and I read and I exercised. If I did that on a sunny day and did it on a cloudy, dull day, I would feel like I was more productive on a sunny day for some reason. I don't know, it's weird. Like, your environment just controls so much of your move. like how you mentally like take things in and how you form ideas and your perspective and things. It all changes just because of your environment. It's so fucking weird. One thing. So on Saturday, I went out. I went for a work mate's going away. Because he's going to America for 8 months, so he wanted us all to go out for dinner and have a couple of drinks. And I was having dinner with my family friends the night before that. I had a couple of drinks because I was like, why not? Like, I haven't seen these guys in like a year and a half. Like, we have not all catched up in about a year and a half. And I thought, oh, man, like, I may as well have a drink, like, get comfortable. Like, there's no big deal about it. I only had a few. And so, at my mate's going away, I was like, I can't bother drinking. First of all, I don't have the money for it. I'm so tired. I've worked. And I was just better off not drinking. So I was like, I'll be fine. And I also knew in the back of my head, like, if people keep asking me, are you drinking? I'll say, nah, I'm not going to drink tonight. Like, I just found the money for it. Someone was going to offer me a drink. So, call me stingy, but, I mean, I just know how people work. But, I didn't choose to drink. Sorry, I chose not to drink for that night. And my other mates, like, outside of the work group, they were also hosting something else. And I thought we'll just go into theirs for a couple of drinks. So it was hitting around 10 and then the restaurant was starting to close. So I said to my brother, I was like, alright, I reckon we just get an Uber home now. And so we got an Uber and I went to my mate's house and then dropped him off at his mate's. And then like as I get to my mate's house, as I'm walking to the front door, I see all of them just getting ready to leave. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? I thought we were just staying here tonight. And like, oh no, we're going to the Harlow. I was like, oh, I'm 10 minutes this. I was like, I wasn't going to go. I was just going to literally be there for 10 minutes. But then I thought, I'm already here. But I've spent my day in Uber. I'll just go to Harlow for an hour or two and then just go home. So I did that. I still hadn't had a sip of alcohol. Went to Harlow. And then I was there for a couple of hours. And then we're getting ready to leave. And then Lexi just goes, oh, let's get one drink. And I was like, yeah, I'll come. She's like, no, I'll buy you a drink, it's fine. I was like, oh, alright. So I had a drink, and then whatever. And it was alright, like, it was fine. The night was fine, but I was pretty keen to leave. And then they were all like, we're going to the Auburn. And I was like, fuck that, we're not going to the Auburn at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I tried to get home, said goodbye to all of them. My phone was on 3%. And then I'm at the front waiting for an Uber and they're all just cancelling. I was out there for about half an hour. And then as I'm at the front, this random girl comes up behind me and she's like, oh, all of your Uber's cancelling as well. And I was like, yeah, like, I just can't get one. I've been here for half an hour. And she's like, oh my God, Sam. And so then we were just chatting at the front of the Harlow. We were talking for like half an hour and we were just like, it was just basic small talk, but then like got to know and like what she was doing like for herself and just like connected and like just found common ground and stuff that we liked. And then we were just talking for like half an hour and 40 minutes and then it was pretty funny. Her Uber was close, so I asked her, oh, how far away is your Uber? And she looks at her phone and we're both looking at her phone and then he's on like the little side street just before the line of the Harlow. And as she pulls her phone up, we both watch her Uber just cancel on her and then we just both just burst out laughing. And then she asked me, oh, how far away is your Uber? And then I pull up my phone and then as I pull up my phone and see how far away he is, my phone dies. And she just started pissing stuff at me and I was so annoyed. I was fucking fuming. Because I was like, how the fuck am I going to get home? Like, the train comes every like hour. and it was around like 1 o'clock or like 1:30ish. So I was assuming that it would be like the train would come at like 2, so I'd have to wait half an hour, get off at Union, walk 10-15 minutes back home. So I was fuming. So we both just agreed to go catch the train, and then she went to Frankston, which I've got no idea why. This chick's name's Bianca. And Bianca was like, oh, okay, I've got to go to Frankston. I was like, what the fuck are you doing here if you live in Frankston? That is so far away. And she was like, oh, well, all my mates come here. Like, Jesus, like, it's such a trek. But then we said goodbye. And Bianca was like kind enough to try and order me an Uber home because my phone died. And I literally just met this chick like half an hour ago. And it made me realize, 2 things from that night made me realize. One is that people are way like kinder than we actually think. It's just the way that we approach people, we're always so standoffish because they're like quote unquote strangers or randomers. But I feel like if you're open enough to get to know the person, and like you asked if you want to learn more about them and know who they are, I feel like they're generally more likely to be kind and open to you. Like, I feel like because I was like, we had such good common ground and we had just good chat, that she was like more than happy to order me an Uber, and I wasn't gonna let her pay for it. I told her, I was like, if I get an Uber, I'm giving you my phone number and I'm texting you my bank details, because I wasn't just gonna let some random girl pay for my Uber. Like, that's just, I could have gotten away with it, but I chose not to because it's just not morally right, because it would have been like $35. And the other thing from that night was, if you're gonna have a sober night, no one's actually gonna give a shit whatsoever. You might get 1 or 2 mates going, oh, you're such a pussy. I'm like, oh, righto, mate, you're spending bloody $15 on a pint. And then no one, like, it made me realize, like, people literally do not give a shit about whatever you're doing, because they just don't care. Like, people don't care enough to constantly pick on you for like not drinking for one night. And if they are picking on, like, giving you shit for the entire night, I don't mean like 1 or 2 jokes, like, that's fine. But if they're giving you shit for the entire night, they've got their own problems to worry. They've got more problems to worry about, because the fact that they're still like picking on you for not drinking and you're just avoiding it, and they still go, it's just showing like how insecure they are. Like, you don't have to drink to be able to socialize with your mates. It's just like a common thing that people do. Like, I do it, many people do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, no one actually cares no one cares that much to constantly give you that much shit about like not drinking. And the last thing on my dot points for this script, it was not even a script really. This is like the most off the dome episodes that I make. Like, I just have dot points of ideas and then I just waffle for as long as I can. But the last thing that I put down for this episode, it literally says, to what extent do I actually have social anxiety? And this only came up really because when I was at Harlow, I was like, oh no, Seep's dancing. Like, all my mates were like, oh, let's go dance. And I was like, nah, Seep. Because I was just doing one, I was so tired I couldn't be fucked. And 2, I low-key thought, oh, people are going to think I'm weird. But then, literally midway through, I was thinking, fuck, I've had some nights where I'm dancing like an absolute idiot. But because I'm drunk, I just do not care what people think. Like, when you're drunk, you have zero social anxiety because your brain's basically just not working properly. That's why. And also because I've been thinking a lot, like for this podcast, like for these episodes and content, I was thinking of like going into the city or going to like a populated like area and then bringing all my equipment and then just like putting out a sign, like saying like sit and have a chat or tell me your story or something like that. And then just doing like episodes with random people and seeing how that goes. And the main reason why I've been pondering on this for so long is because I'm like scared. I'm scared to like go out in public and do that and hear what people think. And I don't know if it's social anxiety or I'm just too worried, or maybe I'm also like lucky scared that someone's going to just nick all my equipment if I go in the city. But there's a lot of like little ideas that are coming to my head about it, which I don't know. I think it would be like a unreal thing to do, like chatting to random people, showing that, again, like I said before, like people are so much nicer than you think. It's about how you approach them. I don't know. I think it'd just be cool to like get to know random people and see like how they tick. Like talk to just randoms and see what they do with themselves and why they are the way that they are and what reasons are behind that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in my own head about it, and maybe I just need to fucking give it a crack and see, like, just give it a go and see what goes on, what happens. Oh my god, I'm just fucking buffering now. But no, that will bring us to the end of the episode. That was a little bit longer than I actually expected it to go, but I hope you guys all enjoyed. Yeah, again, feel free to like and comment on this episode and share as much as you want. But yeah, I'm sure we'll keep this schedule consistently going because these episodes are pretty easy to get done. All I have to do is just press record and look at a bunch of dot points and just waffle. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next episode and hope you all have a great day.